All right, let's now bring in leadership expert Professor Mazwe Majola to weigh in on the political developments in the country and the leadership that is required to take the country forward. And of course, the government of national unity. Prof, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us. So as we continue monitoring all the developments around the formation of this new government, let's look at the current state of the country's leadership as well as the leadership shown by incumbent Ramaphosa before as well as after the elections. I mean, the voters made their voice known on the 29th of May, and well, we're here now.
And good evening to you, Alicia. Thank you very much to you. I think we must commend President Ramaphosa and the ANC for the leadership role they've taken, more especially post-elections. They realized that they did not got what they wanted. They did not get the outright win, but they continued. They realized that, of course, the country needed to be led, and they invited different parties to form this unity government. So, that was very good of them. Otherwise, they could have just let it go, but they had to make sure that something happens, and they moved swiftly to invite these different parties, and also congratulate those parties that they've joined the government of unity, because obviously they realized that this is about the country. They put the country first, and that's just to put their differences aside.
Now, talk to us about some of some of the issues, Prof, pertaining to the formation of this government that could basically threaten as well as destabilize the government of national unity. What have you taken cognizant of, particularly around some of the parties that have been joining, and what has been currently put out in the media about some of those agreements between the current parties?
Yeah, so we are looking at different political parties here with different ideologies, leadership styles, cultures, values. So they are coming together. Obviously, as we have been saying again and again, it's a forced marriage. But what is important now, you need sober-minded leaders, people who will put aside their personal differences and then think about the South African and think about the country. Because you can just see that some of the political parties or political leaders is more personal, really. There's this animosity that they have against each other. So they must just put this animosity and differences aside and try to find one another.
All right. And then, what if they cannot reach that resolution, Professor? I don't think anybody has actually looked on the other side of what happens if, the differences cannot actually be worked or ironed on between the relevant parties. So what would be the next possible solution should, of course, the need arise that there is a second option, either than the government of national unity?
Now, they must prove to South Africans that they are really leaders, because leaders provide solutions. Leaders don't create problems, so they are there to provide solutions for the country, and it's very important and imperative that they try to find solutions for the country. I will give them what I call the 5 great C's that I think it's needed right now for this government of unity. Number 1 is consultation. Of course, you need a broader consultation, and this is what is happening now. But communication is very important. That they must communicate well, and you need clarity, and you need compromise, and you need commitment. So those 5 C's are very important in time like this, so that they can try to find each other, and they must make it happen. And this is a history making. You need leaders who will rise into the occasion and say this was a very difficult time, but we made it happen, and it will be there for generations to come.
And the UTM, Prof, is now the latest to announce accepting joining the GNU on the heels of the Freedom Front plus the PAC. So, Prof, with that, we understand that now the letters of intent versus the binding agreements were actually what they actually were. Let's throw forward to the expected announcement of the new cabinet. Do you have any predictions as to how the president, who has the sole discretion, by the way, according to the Constitution, to appoint members, how do you see him navigating around this terrain? I know you mentioned earlier on that the party might necessarily have to let go of some ministries.
Yes, and it makes things very difficult for Ramaphosa, because I can imagine wherever he is, when he thinks he has finalized his list, and then another party comes in, and then even though, of course, ANC wanted as many parties as possible, but now it's at a time when he's really consolidating everything, and then now the Freedom Front came, after that UTM came, today we see Rise Africa comes. So Rise Mzansi it comes. So you can see that when it's at a time when maybe I think it's about to announce this cabinet, and then others join in. But it's a good problem, as I said, that they wanted as many people or as many parties as possible. So I hope those ones who have just joined, they will understand that probably the negotiations has come so long now, and then they've been some concessions and agreement that have already taken place, and I hope that they will be able to understand that if maybe they don't get what they wish, it's because of the timing. Hopefully they will be able to get something, even if it's not a cabinet ministries, but maybe something else, just to make sure that they are part of the unity government as well.
And just a very quick one in closing, Prof. I mean, a call for public consultation on what exactly these parties are actually going in bed under the premise of. Do you support this, or do you think it should be left to the executive?
I think it's a very good suggestion. My concern is that, these meetings and conferences, they tend to become a talk shop. We don't want that, So really, it must be a well-prepared and with a good facilitation, with good outcomes, so that it must have that desired outcomes, and I think it must have an independent, objective, neutral facilitator who can try and put this thing together, so that it's not just led by ANC or any other political party.
Professor, thank you so much for your input this afternoon. That is Professor Mazwe Majola there giving us some insight on the GNU as well as the expected cabinet announcement.